G'day, here we've got our Ford Falcon 2002 NA Ute, and we've got a pretty much stock front end except for some chop springs. Too low, need some more steering angle. So we've been down to AU House, seen Dave for a set of his Buck Wild hubs, a little steering arm end, some wheel spacers, 35mm I think they are, some camber plates. We're going to rip this apart and stick them in and see what it all looks like. While we're at it, XYZ Coilovers should get the height we want, and we'll get to have a play around with a few settings. So let's get into it. All right, well, we're going to start pulling things apart. Caliper off first, disc, probably disconnect the steering. You see up here, here's the steering knuckle we're going to replace. Top control arm will come off because we're doing camber plates up here, and the original modified suspension is also coming out. So now I've got to belt that for this to separate. Give that a shot. Not happening yet. We're going to disconnect the bottom of the strut because nothing's coming loose, so I'm expecting that the strut is on full extension. So we'll unbolt it here, take this arm up, see if we can remove this and see what happens. Off. 4 nuts through here. Looks like they're holding on the camber plates for the top control arm, so we'll just whip them off. Oh, they're tight. Got to get this off to get to the top of the shock and spring coilover assembly. There we go. Okay, so we've removed all the guts and we have the top control arm off. We're going to remove these camber plates, change them with the AU House units. I'm thinking I want to swap this little rubber mount across as well, and then we'll fix the control arm onto the camber plates. Alright, so I said earlier that I wanted to try and remove this little rubber mount. It's not rubber, it's steel. I belted it with a lot of objects and then discovered it looks like it's been welded on the back to attach it. And you know, I couldn't be stuffed removing that, so I'm just going to put it on like this. With all these jobs, one of the best bits of advice I can give you is to have an offsider with guns. Alright, so we've mounted the upper control arm with the AU House camber plates, and I've also just dropped in the coilover. We've set it up at some crazy high height for now, and we've just matched it to the one on the other side, which will go in a bit later on. But it's all coming together. Oh, this is going together really easily. Even for dummies like us. Look at that. All right, so we've got everything back together. Disc on, brakes on. Hooked up the original steering arm for now because I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do there. But we'll just chuck the wheel spacers on while we're here. These look pretty cool. Installed. That's pretty cool. That's nice. So now I'm under the car, I've got to do some adjusting to the rack ends. I believe there's a new rack end to replace this. This is the driver's side. I don't know whether I'm replacing this with the one that come with the kit or putting the packer washers in just yet, but the first step is to remove this boot. I just cut the strap that was there bit of pliers to remove that little clamp which is here, and then slide the boot off to expose this nut, which I don't have a spanner for, so my Stilsons will come in handy. So we'll remove this, do the same on the other side, and we'll see what we need to adjust. Okay, so I have replaced the original rack end on the left hand side with the one that come with kit from AU House, and there we go, it's all screwed in and Loctited and fitted back up. I've just got to put the boot back on, and on the driver's side all I have done, actually I've done nothing. I was going to put the 2 washers that were supplied in there, and they would have gone in behind this, I'd imagine, but there wasn't a lot of thread, so I wasn't going to take away the thread that was there until I knew I needed it for sure. So 2 washers were meant to go in there, I believe. But anyway, we've fitted it all back up, did a little bit of eyeball wheel aligning by adjusting these guys here, and we're pretty straight. It's hard to see, you're not going to see from this angle, or maybe you can see there, but I'm just trying to set my eye a little bit of toe out. I haven't got the wheels pointing exactly straight just yet. As you can see, this one's pointing a bit off to the left, but when they're both pointing us to the front, I've got a little bit of toe out, and we'll just nip everything up. I haven't put the sway bar back on yet. Actually, I had to remove that sway bar just to make life a bit easier to get access to the rack ends. So yeah, a couple of bolts to remove the sway bar, and that made life a little bit easier. But anyway, we're going to just nip things back up again. We're also going to put the steering wheel back up the right way, but we'll tackle that one later. All right. Okay, so we've just finished fitting everything up, and we're just going to check everything's tight. So just go through everything that you've bolted on is tight. I'm going to probably leave this a little bit loose at the bottom because we may be adjusting the height down there. We removed that to screw this coilover up and down. So on that, we need to make sure that the coilover where we've got it set is tight. So you've got this ring here, and in the instructions it suggests that you put a screwdriver into a lug and just give them a tap up. I don't know how hard to tighten these things up, but I'm not going to overdo it. I can see that they're fairly firm from what I tightened it earlier. But run through everything, check all your bolts are tight, because you don't want crap like this falling apart when you're playing around. All right, we're at the front end now. We've put everything back together. It's all nice and tight. We're going to stick the wheels on, and we'll give it a bit of a wheel alignment by eye. All right, so we've given it an eyeball wheel alignment. I've had to flip the steering wheel 180 degrees. We'll take it for a drive. Let's go. On me. Wow, the steering is seriously irresponsive. That's insane. Nice.